Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. On this episode, Area Sales Manager Avery Bennett joins us to share some preliminary corn and soybean test plot results. We highlight a few Merschman Enlist E3 soybean varieties, and hear about a fungicide and insecticide trial from Dylan.
Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. Today we have Avery, who's a sales manager for Southeast Iowa. We have general sales manager Lynn Williams, and we have agronomy lead Dylan Stucker with us. So I think we're going to start with Avery. What have you been up to this week?
It's been a busy week for me. I think I've met with 3 new customer prospects with dealers, enjoying to get out on the road and meet the customers that we sell to, and then the newer ones that we're trying to bring on. And then I've met with a new dealer prospect here relatively close. So pretty exciting stuff. And I think, all those new customers and the new dealer option, I think are coming from word of mouth of farmers and how our products are performing. I think everyone's products are doing very well, but I think with the new Power Core trait that we're offering and our Enlist beans, people are, finally taking a chance on us, and it's really exciting. We're excelling, and I think we are beating some of the competitors very easily. So it's been a good week. A lot of travel. I think I put about 1,800 miles on my truck, but hey, it's for good news. And so I kind of want to also just kind of go over, I had some dealers take out some plots at the beginning of this week and end of last week, and so I kind of just want to give a highlight of our products and how they're doing in our own plots as well as competitors' plots, and then you guys can kind of add on it. I'd like to start with the corn. We've had a very exciting season with our new corn. I think we're on year 2 of getting it actually out there in a field environment. In the field environment that's kind of what I really want to hit on, and because you get it over acres, and so taking yield checks over 24 rows by almost an acre chunk, you really can see how your product performs. And so our 2411 C, I heard some farmers are ranging anywhere between that 280, 290. I did a good yield check last week, 24 rows by, it was 0.8 of an acre, and it was floating around that 292. And then the good note is that our new 112 day was in that same field environment, and it was about 4 bushels higher than that. So I think it was like 295, 296 is where it was floating. So very exciting stuff to end the week last week. And then we started it off this week with a Pioneer and Merschman plot here locally that a farmer really likes to push it. And we held our own against Pioneer until almost the last entry. We were number 1 and 2 with our 112 day at 292 and 294. And unfortunately, on the very last entry, Pioneer was able to sneak in there and beat us by just a couple bushels with a very hot to trot number, but it might be a little pricier than ours, so I'm not too worried. We have value added there. On the bean side of things, the Osage, that's a new variety we're going to introduce here this year. It's a 2.6. I had a farmer, we were able to have some seed and get out on 80 acres, and it came off 82 average for him. He was super, super happy with the conditions, how wet it was. It was, I believe the field was tiled and stuff, and they're very excited about that variety for the next coming year. I had a brand new customer. He's a pretty good sized farmer, and so when he gave us the opportunity to get on his acres, what do you put out there? Well, you put the Kennedy out there. It's that simple. And an 80 acre chunk came off at over 90 across the scales. So I think we are going to retain and grow some business on him, so we're really excited about that. Our new 4.2s are coming off, our Denvers, and I think, Lynn, you have some too, and I think they're ranging around, what you said, like 73 to 78?
Yeah, and there's a very, very impressive top-end yield when it comes to that. And when we're talking about these big yields, it should be noted, when we're talking about this 4-air, that extremely happy with that. That was planted May 31st. I think we ended up finishing that field on June 2nd. Late plant, less than ideal scenario. You and I went out to go look at hail damage probably a month after plant. The rain events out there in that particular environment are measured in inches, not tenths. So a very tough yield environment that was put through. And to show the upside potential and to carry a field average of that high is just extremely impressive.
Yeah, and I think the area you're talking about is having a record crop over there, and so everybody's, I mean, just pleased, and it's exciting to see. And you said those beans were just stacked with pods.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that might be my new favorite bean, Ben. So.
Well, and you're not the only one, because I've had multiple sales managers call and talk about how lights out the Denver is, and how we're a little bit reluctant. You know, Austin's kind of been our number 2 seller, right behind the Kennedy for a couple of years now. But I think the Denver's probably going to take the Austin spot as the number 2 seller that we got, because everybody that's had it is extremely impressed with it. It offers the STS option, so growers can use it as a double crop if they're spraying finesse. So I think the Denver has its place, and this year we had limited seed stock last year on it, but this year we're going to have plenty of those to sell. They look really, really strong, and I think the germs are coming back on them really, really good too.
And from our conversations with our guys, I mean, we're raising it up here, obviously, just in Lee County, but it's a bean that's moving from Lee County, Iowa to clear down into Tennessee. It's just a widely adapted bean, a very attractive looking bean too. It's one of those that, similar to like when we talk about the Monroe, something that's very eye-catching. This one's very eye-catching out in the field, especially, you know, when you got all those pods hanging off of it. The biggest thing that I would say for the folks that if you're used to the Austin and you're looking at the Denver, how Denver builds that yield just a little bit different. You're going to see a lot more three bean pods with more clusters on it, whereas the Austin, you know, we're very familiar with them having big seed size, potentially having two beans per pods, but being loaded on that. Austins are probably way bigger seed size than these Denvers. I mean, just a very attractive seed size. So as we're looking at seed production for folks that maybe really like the yield with your Austins, but had some issues with playability, right now I don't see any issues with the way these Denvers are going to come out being a very attractive seed size as well.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. And you talk about the Monroes, you know, knowing that we're moving on to a new Monroe, you know, that kind of got me a little scared early on, but with how the old Monroe did. Up in New Sharon, the new Monroe won that plot at 82 bushels. So
New Sharon, Iowa.
Yep, New Sharon, Iowa, so up by Oskaloosa. So we're really excited about these new products. And then the Osage came in at second at 80. So kind of a vast range from a 2.6 to a 3.7 winning it. They all did overall very, very well. Another thing, then I'll move on and be done, but you know, I had a grower, had some herbicide carryover, had some Lincolns in there, and we were pretty scared about that field. It was a good chunk of acres around that carried over from his corn herbicide program, and we were nervous, but I don't know if it's the Merschman beans or what, but we came off and those fields averaged 60. So we didn't even think they were going to get 30 to 40, and they came up to 60. And he said the Lincoln's were very impressive, and it's going to be a staple product in his lineup next year.
Good.
So I'm done with my reports. It's been a great week with new customer prospects and new dealer prospects, and that's what we like to see. So
I think you brought up a great point there that I'd just like to add on to when you talked about the range in that plot. As our viewers are probably getting a lot of plot data from Merschman's or even competition, that is something as you look at plots to make sure you be cognizant of if you see some trends as you're going there. Sometimes if you get into dry areas, they tend to be a maturity plot where the fullest maturity tends to do a little bit better. But when you see a 2.6 stick its nose out and be just as good as a 3.7, that's a pretty impressive product.
That definitely happened in the West Point plot. Dylan, you remember off the top of your head? What was our top 4 products in the West Point plot this year?
Yeah, so it would have been the Austin took number 1. It ended up being like a 93, but then our Denver did extremely well. It was like right below the Austin, and then we go down to experimental 3.5 that we're really watching close. It took like number 3. So.
And I think the Osage was right there behind that.
The Osage would have been really close with that 3.5. So.
Yep.
Which is, that's insane that a 2.6 would run with a 4.2. I mean.
Yep. Well, that's an awesome report. I think you have a test plot sitting in front of you here too.
Oh yeah.
It kind of just proves the fact that we can hang with the majors as well. So you might as well talk about that for a minute. You don't have to go into specifics, but
yeah, you talk about this plot, Ben. You know, Liquid Grow is a dealer of ours, and they have locations all over the state of Iowa and in Illinois. And this plot actually comes from West Liberty for the Liquid Grow account, and it was a DeKalb Merschman plot. So we were in the ring with some big heavy hitters, and pretty exciting that our Merschman corn took 1 and 2, and to be able to take 1 and 2 against DeKalb Asgrow is a feat itself, and it's pretty exciting to see that. And so the yield results from this trial is that our 106 day took number 1 at 258, and our 112 day took number 2 at 257, and the next closest competitor was 251. So we had about a 7 bushel advantage over those guys. And
the third place was actually a Power Core from Brevant, wasn't it?
Yeah. Brevant, has some Power Core traits, and so the Power Core program took 1, 2, and 3.
That's
so
awesome.
It's pretty exciting that everyone questions with new products or new programs coming out on the market. It's like, oh, it's new, it's not proven. Well, I think from last year's yield data to this year's yield data, Power Core Enlist corn is here to play, and it's going to be high yielding stuff, and I know our price is very intriguing to those farmers out there.
Exactly. It's a good step off to Dylan. What do you got in front of you?
Yeah, so I kind of want to talk about a fungicide, insecticide trial that one of our good growers by Shell Rock did for us, and we kind of get a lot of phone calls if fungicide is really paying on soybeans. And so then I kind of wanted just to talk about this plot particular. So this plot had 3 reps through it, and fungicide with insecticide took 1, 2, and 3. So we started at the top end with 66, and then all of the controls, the untreated with no fungicide, were like in the 55 to 59 range. So it's just showing that even if you we don't break that, we're gaining anything. But look what we kind of leave on that table. The difference between reps came out to be 9.7 bushel total difference. And so yeah, that's one particular plot, but it's showing that what we can do with those fungicides. Even if we don't get to that 9.7 bushel, even if we break even, look what you're potentially maybe leaving out on the table.
Yep, and I think there's probably a variation from 6 to 15 bushel advantage. Kind of what I've talked to farmers about this year so far on fungicides. It's one of those deals where if guys were not protecting the crop clear to the end because they're worried about prices, they probably left some out on the table. So,
to add to that, if I can, a dealer of ours, I don't have the data in front of me, but I remember a couple weeks ago he was telling me about the results. Was they did a 0-pass fungicide application trial and a 1-pass and then a 2-pass, and I think the 1-pass was maybe like 10-ish plus 10-ish bushels over the no pass, and then the 2-pass was over 20 bushel advantage
on corn or soybeans?
On corn.
Gotcha.
So big response there, and with the market low, they always say protect your crop the most, and so I think it definitely shows advantages there, getting out there and at least doing a 1-pass fungicide application.
Couldn't agree more. Lynn, what do you got?
We had good discussion here today on plots, but the best thing from my perspective is talking with the salesmen across our whole sales territory. Is everyone's all saying the same thing. Great momentum with the Merschman brands in the countryside. A lot of recognition with the Power Core Enlist corn coming out in plots. What you were talking about, we're seeing from the part that's exciting to me. We're seeing from West Liberty, Iowa, clear down into Kentucky and Tennessee as well. That Merschman varieties or hybrids are able to stick their nose into competitors' plots and hang really well. If we're not first or second, we're consistently having products in that top 5, especially in multi-brand plots. So stay tuned. More info coming in. I think the other thing that's really exciting that I just want to leave with is we are seeing really consistent yield results out in the field trial as well. So to Avery's point there, taking field notes and seeing stuff. Once again, sometimes plot data can have a little bit of bias to them. When you look at if you're comparing a tall hybrid to a short hybrid, but where it really counts is out in the field, field trials and seeing what the field results are. So guys are reporting historical yields when it comes to that, getting in rows off and getting into stuff. Had a grower send us videos from Brunswick of just phenomenal yields, and I think that's really exciting because we're seeing that yield consistency in Iowa. We're seeing, especially like the 24-11, we're seeing just insane top-end yield potential coming out of Missouri, which they have caught rain. They're definitely more favorable than they were before, but that's a product that looks to be handling good stress environment, but if you have some run in your fields, you got to plant that out there to take that top end potential and really raise that field averages. So a lot to be very thankful for, being in this position to be selling these products. A lot to be excited about moving forward, and I'm really excited. Harvest for the most part seems to be, we're trying to kind of in that downward slide here, where now we can have discussions on next year and how we provide yield enhancements with product offerings, how potentially if Meristem products are a fit for guys, and how that's moving forward. We're getting some data out of that, so a lot of good information going to come out of the Merschman camp here over the next 2 weeks. That if you're analysis by paralysis, we're gonna make you shiver here, because there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming out, a lot of good stuff coming out too.
And local farmers, we will have a post-harvest meeting, so
there you go.
Very, very exciting about what we can bring and offer for our post-harvest meeting for this year. That's
awesome. One thing I wanted to note before Lynn pulls us out of here with this corny joke is we still have wheat too. We've had a phenomenal year. We're doing great in sales from a company standpoint. We still have wheat on the floor. We still have wheat available to sell. There are our key ones that we will be targeting at this minute, I guess, or for right now, is we still have Binti, we still have Millie. That Millie 8 really qualifies as a hyper early. I probably messed up and didn't put it right in the book by not having it there, but it was the first hyper early that we would have launched with 2 years ago with our increased seed. So we have Millie, we have Binti that is extremely proven as an ultra early, and we have Maddie supplies available as well. So definitely be looking at that if you're still looking at planting wheat. We got the right weather for it for sure.
A lot of good time left.
Yep, we got at least a very solid 2 to 3 weeks. So Lynn, why don't you drag us out of here with the corny joke?
Well, before I get to the corny joke, there is something that needs to be brought to our viewers' attention. We know that Ben's a man of many talents, right? He's a firefighter, a father, agronomist. He volunteers at the rodeo. Very, very hardworking man, but he's got a secret. Ben actually lives a double life.
Oh boy.
He might have been an Iowa State alum, but he didn't play any sports, so he's got a few years of eligibility left. And Joe went to the Iowa game against Washington and found Mr. Pieper hanging out on the sidelines. So we had Alex do a little investigating, and we are very excited as Hawkeye fans to announce that we did find Ben on the sideline at the Hawkeye game, and we were able to get his player profile downloaded for everyone to see. And we're just really excited that Ben has made the conversion from the Iowa State Cyclones to the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Mm. Closer travels, right?
Yeah, closer travels.
Well, thank you for doing that for that state of Iowa.
Yeah, great.
Back to our scheduled programming here. To completely ruin this joke, we're going to go to the corny jokes now. So what does a panda ghost eat? Bamboo. And since we're picking on Ben, what kind of horse do you ghost ride?
I don't know.
A nightmare.
Oh boy.
They're all nightmares if you really think about it. Perfect. Well, thanks, Lynn, for getting us out of here. I hope everybody is seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for harvest. We've had good weather for it. Hope everybody is excited about what they got and are thinking about next year. And hopefully you're thinking about planting some Merschman corn, beans, or wheat. And Hope everybody is safe, and we will catch you next week.